2 hour power thinking, rejuvenating your amazing mind training for Wednesday. It's April 1st, 2026, and this is our 7:30 a.m. edition. I'm your moderator, Stanley Green. Always a pleasure to be with you. Hope you're having a wonderful week, and certainly you're getting your day off to a great start because you are here with us. So we appreciate each and every one of you for joining us, and especially those who join us consistently and just plug in for 30 minutes and to ensure that you are ready. You're skilled, you're strong, and you're ready for those mini adversities on up to the major adversities that we face as human beings living on this planet on a daily basis. So really appreciate you. I want to special prayer for my co-captain, teammate for University of Pennsylvania, one of the best players in the history of the university. In fact, if you've heard of Moses Malone from way back in the day, my teammate outscored him, in a summer league game, prior to both Moses Malone's start and my teammate's start. And so he's has a little adversity from a health standpoint, and we're hoping that he and praying that he bounces back soon. So again, appreciate you joining us as we talk about adversity. There are health related adversity, relationships with coworkers, with significant others, and you name it. There a loss of a job or contract. Things are happening every day, and of course, a lot of focus globally has been on one of the major sporting events in the world, and that is what's called March Madness. This is a college basketball tournament. I was fortunate enough to be in it. We actually lost in the Sweet 16. There were 16 teams left, and we lost to Duke by 4 points. We actually had them beat. They came back, won the game, and they went all the way to the championship game against Kentucky. And so something that we pay attention to, every year. It is significant. I was, again, fortunate enough to play in that tournament, and I can relate to what goes on and the highs and the lows. So I just want to thank you all for joining us. And as we focus today, wanted to get your comments and your thoughts around the video that we shared. And for those of you who didn't get the video, you can go to YouTube. It's called Caden Boozer, who's the player at Duke, Caden, Cayden, Caden Boozer, on final seconds of UConn loss. So to set this up, there was a game, the Elite Eight, and there was 8 teams left. 2 of those 8 teams, UConn and Duke, are very storied and very great programs, very successful programs, basketball programs. They faced each other, and for most of the game, Duke was winning. They were winning by as much as 20 points, and we thought, this game's going to be over. But to talk about resilience, UConn, even though they were down, they kept working. They kept trying, possibly because, going back to one of our 7 inner strengths of resilience, they had this self-efficacy, the belief that they had control over their ability to succeed, and they kept working and kept working. A lot of that is the reflection of perhaps their coach, who's pretty driven, intense. Some say maybe over the top, but it certainly impacted his players, and it got down to a last play of the game where it would seem that Duke, had the game won, but one of the players made a mistake in terms of how he handled the ball. All he had to do was, as some say, just hold on to it. You'll get fouled and you'll go to the line and shoot. You win the game. or just dribble around and 10 seconds is over, it's up and the game's over. But instead, he saw a couple of players open. He tried to pass the ball. It was tipped, it was stolen, and a player made a shot that he had made all game. He'd been missing 3-point shots, and he made this 3-point shot from a long distance, freshman basketball player, and they won the game. And so whether you are into sports or not, you probably you've seen this footage or heard talk about it. It was an amazing finish, probably be one of the most significant endings ever. So on the one side, you have this tremendous elation on the part of teams. And by the way, let me just go do this. I apologize, folks. In our phone lines, let me go right into our Q&A so that
session has started.
You can hit that *6 at any point, because we'd love to hear your thoughts. You know, what you thought about if you watched the game, that game, the incredible highs and the elation associated with the win, especially from a team that was down by almost 20 points. And some thought might not have had any chance against the team that was the number one team in the country. And then on the other side of it, you know, how Duke felt when they lost, particularly in the fashion that they lost. And then not just Duke, but moving to the player who made a mistake and it cost them the game. Watch the video, the interview, hopefully. Love to get your thoughts about how this freshman player, about 18 years old, a first time, you know, playing college basketball, how he responded. How would you have responded? What did you notice about the response as it relates to what we talk about with power thinking and resilience? How about his inner strengths, his emotion regulation, his impulse control, his empathy, his self-efficacy, his optimism, his causal analysis, his reaching out? And how about skills? Did you notice anything about his skills? His learning the ABCs. There's avoiding thinking traps. Did you pick up a thinking trap that you hope that he would avoid more going forward? How about iceberg beliefs, challenging beliefs, putting it in perspective? You may have heard something there. Calming and focusing, and real-time resilience. They are our skills. I want to say good morning to Leslie Flowers, who is commenting here on LinkedIn, saying good morning, Power Thinking family. And I see there's Dr. Glavy. Doctor, thank you for joining us as well from the UK. I hope I have my flags right. Maybe as bad as some of our leaders. So Dr. Glavy, thank you for joining us. And Natasha Charles, another one of our Power Thinking mobile app users, in addition to Leslie Charles. Thank you, Leslie Flowers. Thank you, Natasha Charles, for joining us. We have a number of folks already on the line, and I'm just going to go right to our phone lines. We'll go right to comments on LinkedIn. We'll start first. Hit that *6. Anyone, I'd love to get your comments overall, or whatever you'd like to share about our focus for today. So we have Leslie Flowers up first. Leslie, mention where you're joining us from, and also what your thoughts are about the game, about what you noticed regarding how Caden Boozer responded. Welcome.
Thank you, Stanley. I'm down here in ACC country, right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, so you know I was watching that game, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. So a couple of things I noticed. So first of all, in those last seconds, something magical happened. And that is, for every low, there is a high. The universal law, that there are 7 of them, and this one says for every low you have, there'll be a high. The only thing is you don't know when the high is coming. This was an unusual moment where the low moment for Duke became the antithesis and the exact opposite to UConn. And it was in a matter of seconds. That is the lowest, the worst possible thing that could happen, and then the most incredible, outrageous thing that could happen. And the people were stunned. The announcers were shocked physically.
Yes.
I mean, if people were looked like cartoon characters, didn't they?
Yes.
I mean, they were out of their mind. Now, the first thing I thought about though, Stanley, was just like the goalie in a soccer game. Many games are lost at the goalpost, just like this, and they always blame the goalie, right? But the truth is, it's a team effort, and no one is perfect. Yet the goalie always gets it. Well, obviously, this young man who could have held the ball, could have dribbled, but instead, made that error, which he didn't know it was going to be an error, right? But no one is perfect. So now, he feels lousy. Everybody, their fight is not to blame him. The integrity says that it is not his fault. And we must not blame him because it is a team effort. It's like an orchestra. If one note goes off kilter, everybody notices that. When my daughter was a feature baton twirler in high school, she would twirl fire batons and 3 and 4 batons. But everybody remembers when she dropped one. Not the fact that she had done, that she could twirl 4 batons and she can do 2 fire batons. And I mean, nobody remembers that. They only remember the fall.
Yeah.
So I, as a mother, I feel so sad for the young man who tossed the ball when he might have done something different. And I'm hoping that the team has enough integrity to be sad, but not to blame one person on the team. And it's going to be really hard for the young man who made that mistake, right? We've all done it. We've all have, and I know you've told me stories about when you've done it. I think you told me one.
Oh, sure.
We've all goofed up.
Yeah. Oh, and I won a game too. I hit the game winner like the kid did at the UConn kid from the corner. No one wanted to shoot it. They passed it to me. I shot it. We won the game. So I have one of those too.
So as a mother, right? Most of us have children or were children. We've all been in this position. It's very easy if you're doing power thinking work and you're paying attention each week. And thank you, Stanley, for making that available twice a day on Wednesday, right? So if you miss one, you get the other. If you're doing this work, then you ought not to find yourself blaming this young man, but understanding that it's a team effort, and it just happened, right, that way. But the beauty of the universe was, look what happened at the same time. Within 15 seconds, we had the lowest point and the absolute epitome of the highest point. That is our universe. It always matches our lows with our highs. But in this instance, it happened right away. Normally, we have to wait, and we find ourselves in the doldrums, right? But while we're in the doldrums, beating ourselves up, the high could go right by you. So you always want to be looking up for the next, right, the matching high to your low.
Like it.
So sorry for them. And I love Duke, and they were supposed to win. Everything looked like it, but nothing is perfect. So, yeah, it was kind of a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a real moment.
It was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Really appreciate that. Well, another moment was the year after we got to the Sweet 16 and lost to Duke, and they went to the championship game. My guys who were juniors when I was a senior, they went on to the Final Four, and it was one of the most famous Final Fours of all time. It was the one with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. So there was Michigan State with Magic Johnson, Indiana State with Larry Bird, DePaul with a player named Mark McGuire, and the University of Pennsylvania, and we were able to, to really fight through and beat North Carolina. And Leslie, you may remember they called it Black Sunday. Both North Carolina lost; they lost to Penn, and Duke lost. So you're in that area, Tobacco Road, where you have North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Duke as prominent programs, and you had two of them that lost on that Sunday. It was fortunate for us. So let's go next to. We are going next to Carla Hill. Carla, thank you for joining us. Anyone else, hit that *6. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about this crushing loss in March Madness. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Sarah. I'm calling from North Jersey, New York on business. But the thing is, I love this video. I'm a sports addict, I would say, but I try not to engage as much. But I love the stories that we learned from this. And thank you for posting that, because I heard it, but I didn't watch the game. I just don't. I choose not to spend my time. This is too much. But I love the lessons we learned from this. And as a mother of two sons, a sister of four brothers, just young men, I pay attention to a lot of young men. And the grace and the pressure, the grace and the pressure that Cameron showed was inspiring. And it's a textbook example of what we talk about weekly and that I've been involved with for 7 years. And why my pet peeve is people absorb all sorts of content and information, and there's not an absence of content and information. There's an absence of implementation and execution. So Cameron was just in terms of the precision in real time. He's 18 years old, and you have members of the international press asking you questions. When you go through this real time, they're sitting in the locker room. The microphones are in his face. And, just when you go through the checklist of our 14 skills, the emotional regulation that he showed, and the impulse control, not crying. I would be crying.
Yeah.
And just in terms of, there was a weak point when he, the growth areas that I lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
To position yourself to be in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Even that's a lot of practice from you and your team. If he's a freshman, he's one of the youngest on the team.
Yes.
And just in terms of avoiding that thinking trap, because you do admit you want to fit your part.
What was that? What was the thinking trap then, Carla? You pointed something out there. What did he say that said to you, there's a thinking trap when we hope that he avoids it?
He said, I lost the game for my team, and I think that's magnified.
Yes.
Even the teammate that was sitting right next to him nodded his head no.
Right.
He said, I was watching just the language, the body language.
Yes.
And one of the things being that HR executive leaders, and I've always looked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. One of my nephews worked for Enterprise, and he told me, or I don't know if I learned it in school or what, but basically Enterprise's recruitment strategy for their management trainee program is to recruit athletes from college teams. Because the way their dashboard is when they are looking at metrics of success is based on the team and not on individuals.
Yes.
Right? So they want to bring those competencies over to the workplace. So you already have it if you're on a team for 4 years in college. So athletes are prime candidates or certain things. You pick up all of the skills, those soft skills that we talk. It's not soft skills. You and I call them critical skills that you pick up for success for life.
Yes.
Because I can guarantee all of us have been in those situations, and most of us have not been on a international stage like this is. So the future is bright. He doesn't see it right now, but if he can make it through this, Cameron and his twin, they're going to be amazing.
Exactly.
So this was an inspiring piece about content. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Carla. Really appreciate that. And So Carla mentioned, and we'll go next to Farrell and Dove. Anyone else? Hit that star 6. Your thoughts? Thinking traps. We picked it up when he said, when they asked him, so how do you feel? What do you think happened? And he said, I turned the ball over. And he said, I cost my team the season. Think about the weight of that statement. I cost my team, not just the game, but the entire season. So what thinking traps? Remember, there are 8 thinking traps. And this is a skill to avoid those thinking traps. Now, certainly the thought is going to be there, but we don't want it to come, up over and over and over again. There's jumping to conclusions. The conclusion that he jumped to was because of that play, he cost the team the season. Not true. There were a lot of things that happened in that game where it didn't have to get down to that last play. Personalizing, where we beat ourselves up too much, right? Go back to that statement. Was very careful to pick up on that. I cost my team the season. It was me. He was beating himself up too much, and the hope is that he doesn't do that. Now, Farrell may mention something that she picked up that helped him to counter that. Another is the minimizing and magnifying, minimizing the positives, but magnifying, I lost this game. Not that I've been a tremendous contributor the entire year, along with my brother, but I did this. And so we have to be careful about magnifying it, over and over again. And people, they're looking at you. You may be mind reading. They think I'm a loser. They blame me for the loss, right? Mind reading is another thinking trap. Tunnel vision. Well, thinking that play was the only reason why one lost when there were many other plays. So just wanted to take you through just some of those thinking traps. I thought it was important you can pick up in real time what was happening, what he may have been thinking, because he actually expressed it. So we're going to go next to Farrell and Dove. Farrell, mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about the game and the Caden Boozer interview. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Stan. I'm calling in from Philadelphia. And I didn't see the game, but I really appreciated the video. And watching the video, a few things came to mind. The first thing that actually came to mind, and especially knowing now the dramatic ending where, as Leslie was saying, the best and the worst all in 3 seconds. So I thought about the slogan from the show that used to come on every weekend, Wild World of Sports. And they said, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And I just felt like those words just jumped into my mind when I saw what happened. And then I also thought of when Jalen Hurts was interviewed when the Eagles lost the Super Bowl, and he said, either you win or you learn a lesson. And in this particular case, even though the young man was very hard on himself, I think he learned a lesson. One thing he said in real time, as he was being pummeled with questions, oh, you lost, blah, blah, blah. What is your perspective? He said, I'm not sure if I understand the perspective at this time. But he was able to say that in spite of that crushing loss, this was the most fun he had ever had playing ball. It was the height of his career so far, being in this position, and that he was grateful. He actually said he was grateful for the opportunity to be there. So I really agree with what Carla said and what you said, what Leslie has said. And I especially agree with Carla that this young man has a bright future ahead of him. So thank you so much for listening, and I'm complete.
Well, and before I let you go there, I just want to remind everyone that you are a gratitude coach. I mean, that's your major focus, and you have a TikTok, and you go under Farrell and Dove on TikTok, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and so And so I was hoping, I said, I know Farrell's going to come through on focusing on the gratitude, on how while he said it's very difficult to put things in perspective. After a crushing defeat, one that will go down in history. And at the same time, this young man, 18 years old, um, after many millions of people are blaming him for making that mistake. And he says, hey, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the team and everything that we were able to accomplish this year. That team had 35 wins, and that loss was only their third loss of the year. So while they're kind of going out with tremendous disappointment, overall they did very well, and he was able, as you said, Fairland, to put it in perspective. While he was falling into the thinking trap, he turned around and used that skill number 5, an action skill, putting it in perspective. And gratitude is one big part of that. And hopefully, before going to bed, he would be grateful as well and be talking about the things that went well on that particular day. So, Fairland, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome.
All right. And knew that Fairland would come through with that because I saw it. I said, okay, that's Fairland Dove. Gratitude, the gratitude coach. And we want to pick up on those kinds of things from people and actually help coach them on being gratitude, not necessarily in the moment. So we wouldn't want to be going to Caden Boozer in that moment and saying, hey, well, you should be grateful you had a great season. We want to show that empathy. And so that's what I would have done. And this is why on my, my assessment, take that power thinking assessment on the app, I was above average in everything but empathy. I was just average in empathy. And that's because I'll tend to immediately, like to a Caden Boozer, say, hey, Caden, come on now. You had a great season. Stop it. As opposed to, hey, I'm right here with you, Caden. I feel you. I'm here for you. I understand. And that's the piece that I'm learning to do more. So power thinking is special. And Caden Boozer is special, and I'm hoping that he is being surrounded first by his team, his coach, his family, and certainly his dad, who played NBA basketball, understands. His brother, who will be going into the NBA. Caden may be coming back to Duke, which will be big challenge. But I think the big lesson he learned is that not everything will work. You will not succeed all the time. And he and his brother, going up through the season at Duke, have always been successful. They've won state championships. They've won tournaments together. They've just won and won and won. And, at times in life, with all of the winning, we're going to have a defeat. We're going to have a crushing defeat. But do we possess the strengths? Do we understand the skills, the awareness skills, learning the ABCs, the relationship between the adversity, the belief about the adversity, and the consequence or the emotion? Being aware of the thinking traps that we're falling into, beating ourselves up too much, magnifying a negative and minimizing the positive. Are we able to drill down and detect these iceberg beliefs that may be holding us back? And then the action skills. Are we challenging the beliefs, pushing back on them? You saw stuff happening in that interview in real time with Caden. Are we putting things in their proper perspective? Are we calming? And as he, I'm sure he had his cries earlier, but was calm and focused in that interview, where there are many professional athletes, 35, 40, who won't even talk to the media. And he did in that moment. And of course, real-time resilience. We saw some of that real-time resilience with Caden. Hey, folks, we have our Power Thinking Corp app. Going to be a big announcement coming up in April, later this month. Looking forward to that. Make sure you check us out. There's a free trial. You can get an annual membership for only $60. It is an amazing app that gives you, those, micro learnings, those push notifications that keep you positive throughout the course of the day, and give you a little financial information from time to time. So I'm going to say goodbye to all the folks who have joined us on LinkedIn. I see Bob just joined us. Gratitude will power you through life. Thank you very much for that. And we'll go to our phone lines and wish everyone well. That well, at least some of the folks we can call out. They're calling Claudia Nesmith. Thanks for joining us. Calvin Patterson. Thanks, Calvin, for joining us. Ed Samuel, Marie Turner, Sophia Edwards, Laura Fitz, Dr. Ekman. Doctor, we know how this feels, right? We both played in the Sweet 16 and lost to Duke. Peg Kowalski, who facilitated it all during those times with basketball. We were running operations and events. Thank you for joining us. Janice Tosto, Gail Berger, good to see you. Layla Llewellyn, everyone else, we appreciate you all. Make it a fantastic day. And hopefully you'll join us again this evening. And remember, since we spend all of our time thinking these 50,000 thoughts a day, we must think with power and utilize power thinking. Take care, everyone. And on our platforms, I want to thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you again this evening. Take care, everyone. Make it a fantastic